Hello, good afternoon, students. How are you? I hope you are fine. Good and fine, you are, right? So, must be enjoying. Today, let me tell you something about myself, and that is I am Rajesh Dadich, your mentor in English from Shivjyoti Educational Group, Kota. So, students, today we are going to start your fourth number story, right? So, this is your book, Woven Words, and in this book, and your short stories, and this is one of the stories, and that is fourth story, and its title is, you can see on the screen also, The Adventure of the Three Gary Debs, right? So, this chapter was written by Arthur Conan Doyle, right? So, before we proceed, let me tell you something about this story, about this author, right? In a nutshell, I would like to tell you. Are you ready for that? This is really an interesting story, because this story is full of comedy, a little bit tragedy, right? Humor. So, you will surely like this story. But before that, let me summarize it so that it may become easier for you to understand, right? Actually, Sherlock Holmes gets a task, and one character is there, Nathan Gary Debs. The chapter is The Adventure of Three Gary Debs. So, this chapter is full of adventures and you will really like it. So, three Gary Debs. So, one of the Gary Debs is Nathan Gary Deb, right? So, once he contacts Sherlock Holmes and he assigns a task to Sherlock Holmes that he would be getting a handsome amount from the will of a person dead, deceased Gary Deb. One more Gary Deb was there, and he wanted to give away his whole property of about 15 lakh dollars, right? And he wanted to distribute that among three Gary Debs. But the thing is, three Gary Debs are to be found. So, Nathan Gary Deb contacts Sherlock Holmes that I want two more Gary Debs. Means two more people with the same surname Gary Debs, second name Gary Debs. So, this is your task. Okay. Now, Sherlock Holmes shares this thing with his assistant, Dr. Watson. So, Dr. Watson, you do one thing, you just go through it and in this way find out. So, the whole story I will not narrate, otherwise you will not derive interest any longer. So, can we start? Right, students? Okay. So, you can see here on the screen, it may have been a comedy or it may have been a tragedy. It cost one man his reason. It all depends on your perception. Whether you take this chapter as a tragedy, as a comedy, it all depends on you, how you read this chapter and what meaning you derive from this chapter, what conclusion you derive from this chapter, it all depends, right? So, it cost me a bloodletting and it cost yet another man the penalties of the law. Yet, there was certainly an element of comedy, but in my opinion, there is an element of comedy, right? Well, you shall judge for yourself. So, it all depends on you, what you take it for, right, students? I remember the date very well, for it was in the same month that Holmes refused, right, students? So, you can see here, and I remember the date very well. It was in the same month that Holmes refused a knighthood, right, for services which may perhaps someday be described. I only refer to the matter in passing, for in my position of partner and confidant is a person who shares the secrets of somebody, right, who keeps the secret of somebody. So, confident. This is not that much confident, the adjective form of confidence, no. confidence is the noun and confidence confident, that is the adjective form of confidence, but this is confidant means the person with whom you can share your secrets, right. So, confident, I am obliged to be particularly careful to avoid any indiscretion. I repeat, however, that this enables me to fix the date, which was the latter end of June 1902, shortly after the conclusion of the South African War. Holmes had spent several days in bed. Actually, it was one of the practices of Sherlock Holmes whenever he had solved any case, he used to go for rest for some time to get relaxed and to get re-energized for the next case, right. So, as was his habit from time to time, but he emerged that morning with a long foolscap document. Foolscap document means A4 size papers, right, document in his hand and a twinkle of amusement in his austere, means serious grey eyes. Means something different was visible in his eyes. He was looking somewhat different. There is a chance for you to make some money, friend Watson. So, Watson is saying कि one day Sherlock Holmes came to me and told me. What he told? Have you ever heard the name of Gaideb? Yes, Watson. Have you heard the name of Gaideb? I admitted that I had not. No. Well, if you can lay your hand upon a Gaideb, there is a money in it. So, Watson, if you find out the name Gaideb in the telephone directory, means if we successfully find out a person having the same name Gaideb, right? So, we can have a lot of money. We can mint money. We can mint money. We can make. So, but why? What is the purpose? That is a long story and rather a whimsical one too. I don't think in all our explorations of human complexities we have ever come upon anything more singular. The fellow will be here presently for cross examination, so I won't open the matter up till he comes. But meanwhile, that is the name we want. So, I won't tell you much about this, about the secret of this story or about the main stuff of this story, because whoso is the main character of this story is about to turn up here. So, as and when he comes and as and when he turns up and I will have interaction with him. So, that time you will naturally come to know what I am talking about. Okay. But in short, I must say that anyhow we have to find out one more Gary Deb, one more person with the same name Gary Deb, right. The telephone directory lay on the table beside me and I turned over the pages in a rather hopeless quest, but to my amazement there was this strange name in its due place. I gave a cry of triumph, means victory, right. So, Watson is saying he was very happy to find out when he went through the directory which was lying by the side of the table. He just went through it and luckily, fortunately, he found the name and he just cried out of victory that Eureka, yes, I got it. Here you are, Holmes. Here it is. Holmes took the book from my hand, get up and he read 136 Little Rider Street, S. Worry. So, W, sorry to disappoint you. W means Watson. So, now Sherlock Holmes is saying, sorry to disappoint you, Watson, but my dear Watson, but this is the man himself. It means this is the man himself we have already got the task from. So, sorry, you will have to find out another Gary Deb with the same name, okay. That is the address upon his letter and we want another to match him. Mrs. Hudson, in the meantime, Mrs. Hudson had come in with a card upon a tray. I took it up and glanced at it. Mrs. Hudson came in and Dr. Watson took a card, visiting card, that was kept in the tray and he took it and went through the content. Why, here it is. I cried in amazement. I said, Sherlock Holmes, Mr. Holmes, you were just talking about that guy and he has just turned up. This is a different initial. John Gary Deb, counselor at law, Morville, Kansas, USA. He gave the introduction of the person whose name the card was bearing, right. Holmes smiled as he looked at the card. I am afraid you must make yet another effort. Oh, Watson, you will have to make one more effort to find out, because this is the same name you have told me and the same name is on the card. So, you will have to find out another person with the same name, Gairdeb. Okay. So, I am afraid you must make yet another effort, Watson, said he, and this gentleman is also in the plot already, means he said he gave two names of Gairdeb, means two people who were Gairdeb. One was Nathan Gairdeb, and second one is John Gairdeb. So, Sherlock Holmes tells Dr. Watson to find out another name with the same, another person with the same name, right. So, a moment later he was in the room. He means this person whose name was on the card, right, Mr. John Gairdeb, counselor at, he was just a counselor at law, was a short, powerful man with the round, fresh, clean shaven face characteristic of so many American men of affairs, right. This is his appearance. The general effect was chubby and rather childlike, so that one received the impression of quite a young man with a broad set smile upon his face. This was how he was looking like. His face was looking like a young gentleman, right. His eyes, however, were arresting, but his eyes were impressive, and maybe they wanted to impress someone. Seldom in any human head have I seen a pair which bespoke a more intense inward life. So bright were they. They means his eyes, live eyes, right. So alert, so responsive to every change of thought. His accent was American, but was not accompanied by any eccentricity of speech, means though he was looking an American, but whatever the way he was using while speaking, means the way he was speaking, his accent, syllables, dialects, and pronunciation of each and every word. So, it gave him the impression of being a British. He was not speaking like that of an American, right, students. Mr. Holmes, he asked, glancing from one to another, means Dr. Watson and Mr. Holmes, these two people were already in the room. So, first he looked at Dr. Watson, then he looked at Sherlock Holmes, because first time he met Sherlock Holmes. So, he did not know Sherlock Holmes by face, that is why he was confused who was Sherlock Holmes, means Dr. Watson was also there and real Sherlock Holmes was also there. That is why first he looked at one person, then another person. Yeah, your pictures are not unlike you, sir. If I may say, I believe you have had a letter from my namesake, Mr. Nathan Gairdeb, haven't you? Oh, now he requests, sir, please have a seat, said Sherlock Holmes. We shall discuss everything in detail. I imagine, have a good deal to this. Very good interaction. He took up his sheets of foolscap, those papers, and you, of course, the Mr. John Gairdeb mentioned in this document, but surely you have been in England some time. So, Sherlock Holmes is saying, so Mr. John Gairdeb, as you have mentioned in the document, in this way he just went through the document and he said, as these documents say that you are Mr. John Gairdeb, right? But surely you have been in England some time, but I can guess that you have spent some of your time of life in England also. Why do you say that, Mr. Holmes? I seem to read certain suspicion in those expressive eyes. So, when he asked, why do you say that, means why do you say that I am looking like British people, British person also, means from UK, United Kingdom. So, Sherlock Holmes, being detective, he caught his eyes and he caught him, but he did not say anything. Oh, your whole outfit is English, means your dressing sense is like that of English people, means British. Mr. Gairdeb forced a laugh. Oh, I read of your tricks, Mr. Holmes, but I never thought I would be the subject of them. I read a lot about you, Mr. Holmes, but I didn't know one day I will be the target of you. Right. So, where do you read that? The shoulder cut of your coat, the toes of your boots. Could anyone doubt it? So Sherlock Holmes gives these clues that made him look like British. Well, I had an idea. I was so obvious a Britisher. But business brought me over here some time ago, and so, as you say, my outfit is nearly all London. So let me tell you, my outfit means my outward appearance, means my dressing sense looks like that of British people. No doubt. However, I guess your time is of value. I think your time is very important. Our time is very important. So we should not waste our time discussing on outfits, right? However, I guess your time is of value, and we did not meet to talk about the cut of my socks. This is not the purpose of our meeting. You know that? What about getting down to that paper you hold in your hand? So let's just discuss about the paper you are already holding, Mr. Holmes. Oh, Holmes had in some way ruffled our visitor. Actually, he had just being detective, so he was very sharp minded. So Holmes had just confused his visitor, John Gaddep, whose chubby face had assumed a far less amiable expression, who was not looking as friendly as he was looking before when he turned up, right? So patience, Mr. Gaddep. Don't lose patience, said my friend, means Dr. Watson is saying that my friend Sherlock Holmes said to John Gaddep in this way, have patience. And Dr. Watson would tell you that these little digressions of mine sometimes prove in the end to have some bearing on the matter. Actually, why I was talking about your look, why I was talking about the appearance, about your appearance and your dressing sense, actually you will really come to know in the end, right? When we have sorted out your case. So in the end you will surely come to know of it, and this Dr. Watson, my assistant, will tell you, my friend will definitely tell you. Why did he ever drag you into? Then he said, Dr. Watson would tell you that these little digressions of mine sometimes prove in the end to have some bearing on the matter. But now he is speaking in between, but why did Nathan Gaddep not come with you? Yes, tell me, why did Nathan Gaddep come with you? Only you have come all alone? Sherlock Holmes asked. Why did he ever drag you into it at all? So John Gaddep gets shocked. He didn't expect that Sherlock Holmes already knows everything about Nathan Gaddep also, right? Asked our visitor John Gaddep with a sudden outflame of anger. He grew a little bit angry also. What in thunder had you to do with it? I do not know. What have you got to do with it? But he has dragged you into the case. Here was a bit of professional business between two gentlemen, and one of them must need call in a detective. I saw him this morning and he told me this fool trick he had played on me, and that's why I am here. But I feel bad about it all the same. I didn't like it. I told him not to involve anybody else in our case, but he did involve you. And when this morning I met him, he told me that he had already shared this matter with you. That's why I decided to see you in person. There was no reflection upon you, Mr. Gaddep. It was simply zeal upon his part to gain your end. An end which is, I understand, equally vital for both of you. Actually, you should not take it otherwise. He shared everything with me, so you should not take it otherwise. Actually, this is the matter in which you both have been involved. That's why he thought it better to share with me. So what's wrong in it? He knew that I had means of getting information, and therefore it was very natural that he should apply to me, right? He just wanted to seek my help. That's why he got it. Our visitor's angry face gradually cleared now, as he was a bit angry in the beginning, but now by and by he was getting cool. He was cooling down. Well, that puts it different, said he. When I went to see him this morning and he told me that he had sent for a detective, I just asked for your address and came right away. I don't want police butting into it. Butting into is a phrasal verb, and its meaning is to interfere, undue interference, right? into a private matter. But if you are content, if you are satisfied just to help us, if you think that you are really able to help us out, then just find this man having the name Gary Depp, right? So there can be no harm in that, and in that case I don't think there will be any harm. Well, that is just how it is done. It all depends, Mr. Holmes is saying. And now, sir, since you are here, we had best have a clear account from your own lips. So actually I know everything, but I would like to hear everything from you, Mr. John Gary Depp. So why don't you narrate each and everything from your own side? Right? So please tell me each and everything. My friend here knows nothing of the details. Means Dr. Watson knows nothing. So Mr. Gary Depp surveyed me with not too friendly a gaze. He was not looking as friendly as before. So need he know? He asked. Means need he? Means need. So call your friend Dr. Watson. Need he know? Means is it necessary for him to know all ins and outs of the case? We usually work together. Since we are working together, so it is but natural he should also know each and everything, right? Okay, then there is no reason it should be kept a secret. Then I don't think I should keep it as a secret, because as you are saying, you both share everything together, right? I will give you the facts as short as I can make them. If you came from Kansas, I would not need to explain to you who Alexander Hamilton Gary Depp was. Actually, you are not from Kansas, but had you been from Kansas, you would naturally have come to know who this person was. He made his money in real estate. Actually, he minted money. He earned a lot of money. He made it. Real fortune he made through estates, property, right? And afterwards in the wheat, after he tried his fortune in the sector of wheat pit in Chicago, but he spent it in buying up as much